Hi everybody from the Historic Arkansas Museum. I'm Casey Marshall. So today we've got Lynn behind the camera. We've been working for the last several weeks on a Dutch oven cooking stand for Miss Amy over in the Brownlee kitchen. So I thought I would give you a little bit of an update. We've been doing quite a different things. Yesterday I was able to go out to Lynn's and make tuning forks.
Why?
Sounds like a D. No, sorry. These are eventually going to be our cooking stands. If you go over here to the chalkboard, you see our measurements and our drawings from the other side. But yesterday I was able to work on what it will be the front. So think this long arm that's going to hold our hook eventually is going to come down and around. I ain't the best at drawing. Luckily they hired me for my pretty face, not my drawing skills. And so essentially I'll be bending those up and around for the feet. But what we're going to do before that, and we're not going to have time to do this on camera, it's too cold, it'll take a while to heat up, but we will be stretching this material out. Important when you're working on a project, we have to take care of our measurements. We're going at 47 high, and this is only about 2.5 feet. So what we'll end up doing is stretching this material up, punching a decorative hole at the top, punching a hole down bottom for that back leg to come through, and then punching little holes to hang our hooks. So our hooks will actually go all the way through and up, and we'll have to make both sides match. That way if we want to move the spit or the bar to the different levels. So today, really what I'm going to be working on as far as hot work is another one of those hooks that Lynn was working on last week. Essentially we'll make it fit a certain shape, a uniform length, round it on one end, so that way it'll go all the way through after it's stretched, of course. This is not what its final will be. And then heat up, peen one end, hook up on the other side. So we need 6 of these. So, one at a time, I'll fire back hot. Second bar in case that was a little too short. I think it's going to be okay. But we need to be able to make them all uniform. We want to look like we know what we're doing. We want to be able to make everything match. Essentially what I'm taking is 3/8 inch thick square stock. I'm going to put it down to a quarter size hole, round it off, sharp those shoulders, and then cut it to match the one Lynn made last week. Set that aside so I grabbed the right one. I was working on a couple of these earlier this morning. So, generally if you've ever been to one of our third Saturday programs or special events, I sometimes like to make and bend out nails. It's the same concept as far as this process is concerned. I'm half on the anvil, and stretching that material down. Of my angle to make some decent shoulders in there. You can see the kind of dip, but I got to pretty that up a little bit more. So, preheat it. And it's getting a little warm, so when I pull it out here in a second, I'm going to dip it. If I had started with my longer stick, I could have just done with this one. I'm going to finish with the one I started on camera. Pull that handle off just a little bit. Give me something else to hold on to. Now that I've got it almost to the thickness, that 1/4 inch from 3/8 down to 1/4, I can start rounding. And all I'm doing is taking that square and turning it into an octagon, putting it up on its corners, make it into an octagon. And then I just start rolling. You could just go from an octagon to a 16, I don't know what you call a 16-sided octagon. You know, put it in the comment section. But now I'm rounding.
You can call it round.
Call it a round.
Call it round.
And my steel has cooled off, so I'm really just smoothing. But I need to know, is that going to fit inside the hole? No, I need to go a little bit more. And as I stretch this out, it's going to keep getting longer and longer, and that's okay. I'll cut it to match the one I need and the one I know is perfect. Speaking of Third Saturdays, we've had a wonderful experience Third Saturdays being here in the shop where all of our folks are in costume across the street. This past second Friday art night, I was out here in the shop and we had a huge crowd. If you watch our special events, if you're already watching our Facebook Live, watch for when we talk about our special events happening at the museum. We've had a whole lot of success, a whole lot of folks here, and it's been wonderful to have people back in the museum. So if you want to see some folks in costume, not just, me and Lin sweating on a Tuesday, come on and see us. Well, I got a little more work to do. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop running my mouth and get it harder for a second. It's much better. I had thinned out here and not up there. So now I can shrug those shoulders and cut it off.
So those shoulders are the part that you really want to get right, and the length of that stem is irrelevant at this point. We can cut that. Whenever we know the thickness of that piece, that main vertical piece, when we know the thickness, then we can trim it appropriately. So all you're doing now is just sort of squaring up that transition from the larger stock to the round, and
See, getting those shoulders, I'm getting this part as crisp as possible.
yeah,
So that way it butts up perfectly to that when it comes time
Yeah.
to fit it.
and since this is not a clock or some kind of a really precision moving mechanism, it's just going to be stationary. It's there's a certain amount of care that should be taken, of course, but it's not like it's got to be filed down and finished so finely that it's got to move and slide and pivot. No, it don't have to do any of that. It's just going to hang there and hold the spit that holds the pot. So we just take our time and get the priorities in order.
There's a little room for forgiveness if you can tell my hook from the one Lin made. It'll be all right.
So that means I got to forgive you then, don't
That's
I?
right. That's right. If mine ain't as good as his, it'll still hold the spit that we're trying to cook with.
That's right. So it's, and really practicality was the guide to the blacksmith. So if it worked and it looked rather well, looked okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. In this particular object we're making, the closest thing that we can come to finding documentation on it is andirons, and essentially we're making a set of fancy andirons with some hooks on it. So, but we want to stabilize it since it's going to be holding something kind of heavy.
So what I've done is I'm cutting through, but I took the one Lin made and I put it up right next to it. So I'm kind of using it as my measurement tool. I didn't start hitting this with the cutter until I could see how long I needed it to be to make it sort of match. Now you can see my tail is much longer, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's an easy cutoff. Right now I want to make sure the hook fits right.
And what he's calling a hook right now is just still straight. It's not a hook actually yet. It's just the makings of a hook. We'll get all that after we get this first part done. He's working on the first part, which is getting those shoulders right and the tenon right. Then we'll worry about actually putting it into a hook shape. That'll come later. We're just making all the pieces step by step.
So once I cut that off, it'll be better. and it'll need a little bit of straightening. That's not a big deal. We'll fix
Right.
that. But essentially, this will come through the bar, and while we feed it, we'll peen that end. Chop. Peen that end so it'll hold on and bend up. That's why we keep calling them hooks.
Yeah. And we might even change the shape of that hook so it will never try to spin on us.
Mhm.
So it's not a problem. We'll just work on that and figure that out. But we're quite confident we can do it.
Absolutely. So join us next week. We'll probably do a little bit more work on it. Maybe do another part or stretch out and punch some holes. But thank you for joining us today. Please stay safe in this heat. From the Historic Arkansas Museum, I'm Casey Marshall. Thanks for coming to see us.